as soon as Terry Cochran calls into the studio. And we are going to be finishing up with, Terry Cochran is a certified nutritionist. And she actually wrote a book focusing upon some really incredible gourmet recipes. And if you know me at all, you know I do love to cook really, really good food. Fresh, organic, healthy, yummy, tasty, and often spicy food. So Terry had created this wonderful cookbook, and I had her on as a guest I guess it was probably a year ago. And she's coming on today. In fact, she just lit up in my little studio board here. And we're going to bring Terry on. And Terry is a certified nutritionist, and she's also a master herbalist and gourmet chef, and we're just going to add that on because she just is. But we are going to have Terry talk to us about male health and focusing upon, you know, a lot of times in middle age, male health is something that men tend to not really address and talk about. They get their, you know, wives worried and they avoid the doctors. And a lot of times, you know, there's these little tweaks that need to happen as we all get older, God forbid. Well, it's a blessing because what's the alternative, right? But we have to tweak things. We have to eat better. We have to take better care of ourselves. And part of this is knowing what to eat and what to avoid. So without further ado, I am going to introduce my fourth guest today, Terry Cochran, certified nutritionist. Terry, thank you so much for being my guest today. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. So good to be back.
It is wonderful having you. I'm so looking forward to your wisdom today on our little health tip, food insight, and male wonderment. So I'm going to give you the floor. You can tell us what did you bring us here today?
Well, you know, as we talk about male evolution, I really am thinking about what is happening to male hormones today. And what we are seeing is that the average American consumes 5 pounds of pesticides every year through their food supply. Wow. And those pesticides are actually turning into xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens is a man-made chemical that mimics the worst kind of estrogen. And we are seeing now males, especially young males, developing breast buds. I live in the metro Washington, D.C. area. Our Chesapeake Bay is finding that our fish are becoming hermaphroditic, meaning that the male fish are starting to develop female parts.
Wow.
So that is very scary for everyone, but especially children and the population. So one of the things that I really want to emphasize today is to really be aware of the estrogens in your food supply, whether they come from pesticides that convert to xenoestrogens, whether they come from soy. Soy now is the number 2 crop grown in the United States. 90%.
Wow.
Yes, it is. It's no longer something that we get at a health food place.
Right.
And 90% of it is genetically modified. So what that means is we are taking the wonderful phytoestrogens from soy, pairing it with the genetically modified seed that contains pesticides, which then turn to xenoestrogens. And so what we're getting is what I'm calling kryptonite soy. It has an overabundance of estrogen, the majority of it being the bad kind, which is the xenoestrogen. And so what does that mean for men's health? It means that when estrogen in our male bodies go up, testosterone goes down. Yes, it's an inversely related proportional hormone balance. And so when that happens, then the virility decreases. Estrogen is also a cell proliferator. So prostate health may be impacted. So it's very scary. Estrogen has become a real scary deal for us because we're so estrogen dominant due to our food supply being estrogen dominant. Our soy, our pesticides, the nitrogen runoff that goes into our water, which then, again, goes into our drinking system and therefore more estrogen. So how do we manage that? Well, the best way to manage estrogen dominance is to clear it. And how do we clear it? Well, we have to have our detoxifying organs working in optimal order. What are those? Primarily our liver and our kidneys. How do we detoxify? Well, certain foods help detoxify. And a particular group of foods, those that are from the cruciferous family of vegetables, being cabbage, broccoli, bok choy, arugula, watercress, kale, have a component called indole-3-carbinol. And why is that so important? One, it's been definitively proven by scientists at Wayne State University that it arrests cancer cells, prostate cancer cells in particular.
Really?
But another thing that is so important about indole-3-carbinol is that it is an estrogen metabolizer, and it is a wonderful source of L-glutamine, which helps in the liver detoxification pathway, so therefore clearing our liver. So when we eat cruciferous vegetables, we're getting this trifecta of incredible health benefits. We're getting the indole-3-carbinol, which is cancer arresting. We're getting the L-glutamine, which is so important for phase 2 liver detoxification pathway. And we're getting a host of phytonutrients and chlorophyll, which alkalize the body. And alkalization is important for optimal immune function because our standard American diet is acidic in nature. So what do we have to do? We have to alkalize our bodies to help with immune function and reducing that inflammatory response.
You are amazing. You are simply amazing, Terry. I am taking notes here, and I'm going to have to re-listen to you so I can take all the little vegetables I need to go buy at the farmer's market. This is really wonderful information because there does seem to be an increase in hormonal imbalances, and not only in the female, but also in men. I'm seeing it within clients. I'm seeing it with family members, and it's very alarming because you never used to hear about this. And andropause is not something that's often talked about. You hear about menopause for women, but you never hear about andropause with men going through their own emotional hormonal shifts and changes in midlife. And I'm sure that is really affected by these xenoestrogens that are found in the foods. I mean, that's got to really...
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. I do see a lot of males in their 50s that are going through andropause, and what we are seeing is that, indeed, their estrogen levels are elevated, and therefore their testosterone levels are lowered. And therefore their DHEA levels are lowered, which is the anti-aging hormone. And then when you add stress to the picture, cortisol goes up. Therefore, when cortisol goes up, we get that middle belly fat.
Right.
And midlife, in its full vibrancy, there you go. Unfortunately, that's the product of our standard American diet, but we don't have to be one of those.
Right.
We can really reverse this, and we can help ourselves even as we mature and we age. We can age in a very healthful way.
Good, because that's my aim. That is my goal. I am seeking to age gracefully. That is my goal. But where can we look in regard to, as we move through our food sources, what can we do to really emphasize more of healthy vegetables? I mean, is it really indicative of we have to go to farmers markets, we have to buy organic? It pretty much is, isn't it?
Well, I think what I always tell my clients is get to know your grocer, ask them where they source their products, and then go to the CSAs or your local farmers markets and ask them how they grow their foods. But I really believe that it is a product of our generation that has just gotten used to convenience foods, that shop inside the package instead of looking for the brilliant colors that come from nature. And so as we get back to our roots, literally, and those being root vegetables, and those that come from nature, all the vegetables that spring forth from Earth's bounty, we get closer to what we need to help balance all of our systems, not just our endocrine system, but all of our organ systems. So it is an educational process, but it's really getting back to understanding the power of nutrition and the power of its value as it relates to a body in balance or a body out of balance. And sadly, we have really moved away from nature, and the results are heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, prostate health, endocrine imbalance. Thyroid cancer is now the number one fastest growing cancer in the country, and it does not discriminate male, female, or age.
Wow.
Why? Because thyroid is one of the glands that is most sensitive to chemicals.
gosh. What can we do in regard to a thyroid? Are there certain foods we can increase or avoid, or
Yes.
thyroid health seems like it's the major metabolizer, the main dude there that's holding it together in a lot of ways.
It is the main dude, and we're seeing a lot of men with thyroid issues. So one of the best sources is sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, because we have lowered our iodine levels by 40% over the last 40 years, and iodine is integral to thyroid function, as is selenium. Well, where can we get selenium from? We get them from our fish. It's a wonderful source of selenium. Another one is zinc, again, back to shellfish. So you got to go to the sea. For thyroid, it's all about the sea, and then also making sure that if you're buying fish, it truly is coming from the sea and it's not being farm raised. Because again, now these fish that are farm raised are being fed corn, or they're being fed food dyes, so they can look pretty.
No kidding.
No, that's true. They're feeding the salmon pink dye, and they're starting to look to genetically modify salmon.
No kidding.
No kidding.
So even fish farming is not cool. It's not like you're getting a more organic fish or a healthier fish. It's not.
Nope, it's not cool. And I will say that if you do have to buy farm raised, and I don't have any specific affiliation with Whole Foods, but they have the highest standards for clean farm fishing.
Okay. I don't have a Whole Foods by me, but hear that, audience. Whole Foods, they will check with your Whole Foods fisher man, dude, guy, butcher guy there. Well, this has been so informative. I have notes all over the place here from you, so I am going to go back and listen to this. Anything else you would like to add? Where can our audience tap in to connect with you and your name of your book and just, let it rip there, Terry?
Absolutely. My book actually is, and my recipe book is loaded with cruciferous vegetables for that very reason that I stated earlier. It's multiple benefits for both men, women, and children. And you can purchase that through my website, which is www.healingpathsva.com. I also have a blog. I have a Facebook page. I'm on Twitter. If you just Google my name, Terry Cochran, you will get to me. And I try to blog almost daily. I'll be blogging about our show today.
Good
what I
job.
But it's a really great source of information. And, again, I am getting the word out. And I just recently finished a 3-month lecture series with Virginia Hospital Center. So now even doctors and nurses are interested in what I have to say and how my practice runs. So it's very exciting.
Wonderful. This is a very exciting time because as I'm learning and as I'm aware of talking to all you wonderfully wise people, the world is becoming, scientific thought, intellectual thought, stoic thought is starting to open up. The minds are starting to accept alternative approaches, alternative concepts, alternative perspectives. So there's hope here. We're not stuck into complete control, but we do have to be smarter than the average grocer and ask and inquire and be aware of what we're putting in our bodies.
Absolutely, and if we demand it as a population, the grocers have to shift their way of producing food. If we stop buying the food that they're putting on the shelves, then they're going to stop putting that food on the shelf and start putting the food on the shelf that we're demanding. So It really is a grassroots effort. And I always say, vote with your grocery dollar.
That's right, and it's true. It's true. Look at how it's shifted already.
Yes,
Terry, thank you
we're already,
so
the momentum is there.
It is. Thank you so much, Terry, for being my guest today. You have been a wealth of information. I look forward to having you back again. I believe you're coming back in April.
Yes, I am.
And we will be scheduling additional little visits with you because you are such a wealth of information. Again, healingpathsva.com. This is Terry Cochran. You can find her on Facebook and Twitter, Terry Cochran, Cochrane. Terry, God bless you. Thank you so much again, and have a blessed week.
Likewise. Thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, for listening today. This has been a real joy for me to have such wonderful guests on Unlimited Realities, and it really has been a thrill to talk to both Jim Stein, The Paranormal Equation, Don Mortacini, Princes and Ogres, Charles Eduardas, who has coined Free to Be Me and Breaking the